So you really have to have coffee. After you have coffee, I need to whatever. And by the time you're done with your preparations, you do like a 5-minute davening because you're running late for work anyway. So your coffee that you wanted to have for kavana is pointless because the kavana is out the window anyway because you were davening through. It's speed, and I'm not speaking from experience. Anyway, so right, so again, so very reasonable rationalization. I rationalize that this is the proper mitzvah, that my coffee before davening is the mitzvah. It's to make my davening better, right? So why is Nikias only specifically in Zihirus? So the way they answer over here on the bottom is that, and I think it's partially right, but meaning Zihir, because we said really it's true. Meaning, where do rationalizations come from? Right? Why do we rationalize altogether? Why don't we just see the truth right away? Right? The answer is that kind of our cold hard logic is clouded by our our biases. But where do our biases come from? So by Zerizus, we learned the biases come from self-preservation. Just like there's a self-preservation to avoid danger, there's a self-preservation to just be in a state of inertia, right? It's the same instinct to just say, don't leave me alone, don't touch. So meaning the logic is clouded by these competitive desires. Right, desires. So that's what we already established. Really, is that Zrizus was slightly different than Zehirus in a sense that Zrizus already kind of meant that you're gonna. It's a never-ending avoida, right? Zrizus is built in that you're constantly breaking your laziness, right? So it's self-understood built into the basic level of Zrizus is to fight those rationalizations, because those rationalizations stem from laziness, right? They stem from laziness. So so Zrizus is a constant battle with laziness, which already includes avoiding rationalizations. In Zehirus, so here's a little tricky, right? For some reason, Ramchal said there's 2 steps in Zehirus. There's a basic step of contemplation, right? And then there is a secondary step of digging in deeper, right? Of digging in deeper. Right? So I don't know exactly how to say it, but it's not there, right? So one is just realizing what's right and wrong and doing the right thing. That's the first step. And then there is the other thing is uncovering all those things that you thought were right but really are wrong, right? Or were really right, right? So again, this is more, I think, so that's basically what they're saying over here. It still might need a little more fine tuning, but something along these lines. Okay,
just an observation. He brings the 365 in here, and then Dara Hashem and around Shema he was bringing 248.
Right.
As
so those are the positive commandments, right? So I'm saying that's what we're addressing, right? Why is it not on all 613? Right, why is it Nikias on all 613?
I'm trying to rewind and recall exactly what was his point. Reciting with the Shua was the cleansing of the self and the cleansing of the entire world, meaning the Hashma. And I'm just trying to think if there's
I'm not sure if there's a connection.
Okay.
So let's keep going. So even though with regards to every single Aveira, the Yetzer Hara tries to sidetrack a person, right? right? So meaning he's continuing that idea. So Nikias is an extension of everything single mitzvah, and it's true that the Yetzer Hara tries to undermine a person in every single mitzvah. Kvar yesh mehem. However, there are those shehateva mechamdam yoser, that the nature of a person desires more. Right? So in other words, again, same idea. Rationalizations come from what? They don't just come from nothing. They come from the fact that I have desires. And so the desire forces me to look for not forces me, but urges me to look for a kula, to look for a heter, to look for a way out. Right? So behen, and in those things that I desire more, mara lo yoser heterim. It shows to that person more heterim. Asher al kein yitztarich behen yoser chizuk l'natzeach. So therefore, for those averos, a person needs extra chizuk, right, to extra strength, l'natzeach, to beat es Yetzer Hara, ulihinokes minachet, and to cleanse himself from the sin. And similarly, our sages said in the Gemara Chagiga, Gezel ve'arayos, right, robbery and arayos. What is arayos? Arayos is forbidden relations, right? Nafshe shel odom mechamdosun u'mesavelohen. The nefesh of a person desires them. Again, different language. We'll see chemda and taiva later, but we'll get back into the difference between chemda and taiva. But the point is, over here, that gezel and arayos, a person's nefesh desires them. Now, again, they point out over here, what does it mean that a person's nefesh desires them? I desire gezel and arayos. I desire robbery and being with, arayos specifically means forbidden relations, like sister, mother, daughter, ishes ish, right? It's not, arayos is sometimes used synonymous with just promiscuous, znus, right? Promiscuous znus, immorality. But really, arayos in its more literal sense is referring to illicit relationships that are by what's the word? By relations, right? Blood relationships. So, so what does that mean? Nafshe shel odom mechamdosun, that a person desires them. A person doesn't desire them. Nobody says to himself, "I want to have this avera," right? Even the people who end up doing these disgusting averas don't say, "I wanted to do it." It's just one thing led to another. So obviously, again, the obvious answer is what this Mishnah is saying is that that the desire of a person for money or the desire of a person for physical pleasures, right, sexual pleasures, will lead a person all the way to gezel, to robbery, and all the way to arayos, illicit relationship. Not guarantee, but I'm just saying, but it's on the same spectrum.
This is the bottom level of
right. This is on the same spectrum, right? Gezel, the arayos, right? So my desire is to get as much money as I can, right? But that desire to get as much money as I can may lead me to actually do the worst possible thing, which is robbery. Or my desire to have sexual pleasure will possibly lead me to do the worst possible sin, which is arayos. Okay? So gezel arayos, nafshel odom mechamdosun mesavelohen. Okay? V'hinei anachnu royim. Now we see ourselves she'af al pi shelo roiv bnei ha'odom ganovim begoluheim, that even though most people are not ganovim begol, and again, this beautiful language, right? What is this is first grade, right? What is gezel? Gezel is robbery. What is a ganav? A ganav is a thief, right? What's the difference between a ganav and a gazlan? A gazlan is an armed robber that does it in open. A ganav is a stealthy thief that does it behind the scenes, right? So the Mishnah, whatever, the Gemara says, right, says Gozel v'arayis nafshel mechandosun. Gezel, right, robbery, right, a person's nefesh desires. Then Ramchal says, and hina anachnu roim, we see she'afal pi shelo roiv bnei odom ganovim heim begoloi, begoloi heim, ganovim begoloi heim. So even though most people are not ganovim, not stealthy thieves, begoloi, in the open, what just happened? Why did he switch? First of all, why did he switch from gezel, which is what the Gemara says, to ganav, which is what he's saying, and then uses the word begoloi. So the answer is he doesn't. He's now scaling down the ladder. There is this highest level is gezel.
Now
Again, even though the Gemara says, I want you to know there's another beautiful thing that people say, which one is worse? Which one is worse, gezel or ganav? Which one is worse? Well, you see, ganav pays kefil, ganav pays double. A gazlan doesn't pay double, so obviously a ganav is worse. No, that is
right.
what that is not true. The Gemara says this. Everybody says that ganav is worse because it pays double, but
But that's
again, that's
certification.
It's opposite.
what.
It's opposite.
Now what was the
Because
opposite?
one's afraid of people, one's afraid of Hashem, so it's,
Right.
The kefil is
Yeah.
the justification.
So because like this one doesn't care about people or Hashem, at least it's one. As that one, afraid of people more than afraid of Hashem, so that's why he's playing double.
Right. So which one is worse? The one who doesn't afraid of people or Hashem, or the one who's afraid of?
Yeah, the one who's afraid of people doesn't afraid of Hashem. That's his horse.
So ganav is worse according to you,
Yeah.
and I'm saying not that way.
Okay. Right.
Because a robber is a real criminal.
Yeah, but
He doesn't care about people. He goes in an armed robber. Okay. What would you rather? Well, who would you more like? Okay, forget again. Because Baruch Hu's Torah is infinitely wise. But you, as a human being, who would you punish more severely, a gazlan or a ganav?
no, as a human, obviously, guys are obviously like more dangerous.
Right, exactly. It's
Okay.
much more danger to society, right?
Yes.
Okay, they both steal money. It's
Yeah.
true, but a gazlan is this disgusting human being who couldn't care less about other humans. He goes and he robs people, uses his force and robs people. He's a what's the word? A guy who basically destabilizes the whole society order of society. It's a terrible sin. There's no to me at least. Again, to me, there's no question a gazlan is worse than a ganav. But the Gemara says not like me, right? The Gemara says not like me because the Gemara underscores a certain, and the Torah underscores, with the Kef underscores a certain element which we don't miss. So we don't see by ourselves. The Torah sometimes punishes a guy.
Yeah.
Stronger for a certain. I don't know exactly how to phrase it, but a gazlan is the highest level. The second level is a ganav, even though a ganav is punished more. Similarly, I don't know, a mafata and a rapist. The Torah has these things.
But why the heck look at the set? Why can punishment be punishment? And what's the worst? Like, why punishment and
Right. That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. That they're not. That's exactly what I'm saying. They are two different things. The punishment, the ganav is stronger, right? Even though he himself, I think, is on a lower level than. Even though his punishment is stronger, he himself is on a lower level than a gazlan. Gazlan is a much more severe, severe avera.
Yeah,
Okay.
but punishment, like, if somebody doesn't give Shabbos, who is execute that person? He didn't bother anybody. He just went to do pick up stuff.
Okay.
So you cannot just
No, I
based
don't know
on
if
punishment.
I don't know if that's a valid question. Just because we don't see the damage that person causes to the fabric of society.
No, but what I'm saying is that based on punishment, I don't think it's just fair to use level
Okay.
of punishment
By him
to
breaking
I'm not sure, but
determine
breaking
determine who's
Shabbos is-
worsen.
Okay, I'm not sure. That's
Okay, so why is that?
okay, I'm not sure. But the bottom line is, so what he's saying, I think what he's saying is Gezel V'arai. So the Gemara says Gezel, which is the worst, kind of the most distant, let's put it the most distant idea that a person is, man, I'm never going to be a Gazlan. I'm not going to go out robbing people, right? That's for sure not me. But the desire for money, one step to another step, before you know it, could get to Gezel. Now he says, what about? But definitely, a person doesn't want to be ganav begolui. What does it mean begolui in revealed? It doesn't mean a ganav begolui here does not mean an open ganav. He means the hainu sheyishlechu yad mamish, that a person will send forth his hand mamish b'momen chavreim and with towards money of his friends. Lekachas v'losim b'kleihem, and actually outright take it and put it in his own in his own property, right? Meaning begol over here meaning nobody says to himself, I am going to steal right now money from my hand and take it straight out of his pocket. A regular person does not have that intention, right? So that's ganav begolus. Neither am I going to be a gazlan. Neither am I going to be a ganav, right? Afal pikein, but still in all, rubam, most people, rubam, toyamim tam gneva. They taste the taste of gneva, not gzela, but gneva, meaning stealthily. How? B'masom matonam, in their business dealings. How? B'meshi yoyru heter le'atzmam, because they paskin, what do they say? Okay, they rationalize for themselves permission le'atzmam, for themselves, ulehistaker ish be'afseido shel chaveiro, and to profit from the loss of their fellow. Why? Because they say business is different. It's business. It's nothing personal. It's business, right? So let's dissect. There's a few things here that need to be dissected. So even though the Gemara says gezel, robbery, a person is zack. So even that's like the ultimate. Ganav, also nobody's going to be a ganav. But most people, where does he get this idea? Most people. Again, let's just flip back to page 167. In page 167, he brought this statement from Baba Basra. So it says, Rubom begezel, most people are guilty with gezel. Umiutam be'arayas, and a minority of people are guilty in arayas. V'kulum, but everybody is guilty be'avak lashon hara. Everybody's guilty is with avak lashon hara. Now we'll see that actually this whole chapter of the details of Nikiyas, I don't know whole, but most of this chapter is just basically an extension of this line of Chazal, right? Rubam begezel, that's what he starts out. That's why he starts out with gezel. Of all the Averis that he could have started with, he starts out with gezel. Why? Because he's basing himself on this statement, Rubam begezel, and after he's going to be done dealing with gezel, he's going to be talking about arayas. Okay, and after he's going to be done dealing with arayas, he's not only going to be talking lashon hara, but he's going to talk about all interactions between humans that are very similar to lashon hara. Because lashon hara, remember, right? If we're saying it's all about rationalizations, so rationalizations you have to have reasons for why you rationalize. So the first reason is I desire money, I desire pleasure. But there's going to be another reason to rationalize is, well, we'll delve into it, but lashon hara, what am I doing? I'm not doing anything, right? It's not significant. It's not serious. I didn't do anything, right? So meaning the light, right? So there's either because it's a heavy crime, but it's a heavy desire, or it doesn't seem like a heavy crime, so therefore, what's the big deal, right? So that's that. So that's one. So that's why he's talking about ruba. Most people, when it says that they taste this rubam begezel, he understands that means in business dealings, right? Rubam begezel means in business dealing. What's the problem with business dealings? So he says, what's the avera of business dealings? He's saying the avera of business dealings is that you profit from another person's loss. Profiting from another person's loss, right? Again, this is not a very modern idea. Or it's maybe not, meaning maybe not very modern idea. Meaning, let's go to Adam Smith, right? Adam Smith says that if everybody works for their own benefit, in reality, everybody's going to be better off in the end, right? If you're the buyer and I'm the seller, so you're trying to hike up the price as much as possible to make as much money off me as possible. I'm trying to beat down the price as much as possible because I want to get it for the cheapest possible. But together, you and I, we're going to create an equilibrium and everybody's going to be better off, right? That's the basic idea of Mr. Adam Smith, right? No?
No.
Why not?
Because not everybody good in negotiations. Okay?
Right, he's saying that doesn't work for every individual case, but on majority,
Okay, fine.
on the large scale picture, everybody together, working together, will create a market price that will benefit the most amount of people as possible. Okay, that's the idea, right? But he's saying no, because when you're trying to to beat down the price in order to buy it for cheaper, or you're trying to raise the price in order to make money for cheaper, what you're doing is you're causing the loss of another person, right? And you're making money off that person's loss. Okay, so that again, we're gonna let's get back to that in a second. We're gonna but that's again, but that's what he wants us to think about. Meaning, what is the essence? What is stealing? What is stealing? Stealing is, right, taking somebody else's property, right? And not necessarily somebody else's property outright. He's going to bring in the list of stealing commandment within the domain of stealing. There's going to be things like don't go into the other, don't change the boundary of a business don't change the boundary of your neighbor. From where we learn, don't go into other people's business, right? Which is okay. So we'll get back to that in a second. Actually, no. Okay, let's continue then. Fine. So, that's at the essence of this nikiyus, when it comes to gezel, is being aware that whenever you are making money, that means somebody else is losing money, and if somebody else is losing money, you have to be extra careful to know that you have made that person, quote unquote, lose money for a purpose, for a purpose, not just l'arviach shani. It's business, it's competition. Loser. I could have sold you this house for you could have bargained me down for 900,000, but I sold it to you for $1.5 million. So, too bad, right? So I got a good client, right? This is not the Jewish way, or it shouldn't be the Jewish way. Okay, so let's keep going. V'ulam, however, lavim harbe nemru begezel. There are many lavim that are said with regards to gezel. For example, lo sa'ashoik, right? Lo sa'ashoik means don't cheat. Lo sa'ashoik. So over here they say it's like withholding property or withholding wages. That's lo sa'ashoik. Lo yisigzo. Or don't steal, whatever, don't rob. Lo yitignoivu, don't steal. I don't know why he started with lo sa'ashoik. That's very strange. I didn't think about this before. Why didn't should have said from lo yisigzo, right? Yeah. Lo yisigzo, lo yisignov, then lo sa'ashoik. Okay, then he goes lo yisichachashu, and do not contradict, right? In other words, right, deny falsely. What's the avera of denying falsely? The stealing or the denying? Right. So I'm assuming he's talking about. He's focusing right now on the stealing, right? Stealing meaning this is mine. No, it's not. It's mine. No, it's not yours. It's mine. So when you deny falsely, you are the stealing is the problem. You're using denying as a way to steal, right? So that's also a what you call a lav within the domain of stealing. Again, don't lie a man onto his friend. Do not do not insult or do not aggrieve one another. Okay, so this is oina. What's oina? Oina is when you overcharge somebody or undercharge somebody, right? If you're a buyer and you underpay, that's oina. If you're a seller and you overcharge, that's also oina, right? There's generally shtus. This 1/6 is the over the market price is considered overcharging, right? Really, any truth is even a penny over the market price may be considered overcharging. But if it's more than 1/6, then it's a mekach tos. Then it's a false what you call it. Again, not everything is certain let's say medical services don't fall under the category of because they're individual, but certain things that have a market price, then you can't overcharge, right? Price gouging, in other words, what we call price gouging, right? So that's loisoinu isha sachiv, right? Then again, not moving the boundary of your fellow. So hen kol ele, all of these achilukei dinim shebegezel. All of these are chiluki dinim, subcategories of theft. Koilim masim rabim and amasim anasim. These all include all the different actions that people do. B'chol amasav amatim hamedini, in the course of regular business, right? Ubikulam, and in each one of these isurim rabbi, there are many forbidden isurim, right? Right, so meaning he's showing you that within the domain of Gezel, there's a lot of other things that you may not recognize them to be in the domain of Gezel. So it's not the obvious, right, and the explicit and easily recognizable thing that's forbidden in Gezel and Oishuk. Right, in cheating. It's not the vulgar type of cheating. Rather, anything that in the end will lead to it. All of that is included in the Isser. So groma, right? Not just so groma. Sometimes we say by certain things, groma is not forbidden because I didn't do it. It's 10 steps removed. Over here, he's saying no. When it comes to stealing, if it's going to lead to you possessing something that somebody else should possess, you are committing a crime. You are committing an Isser. Right? And regarding this, our sages said, it's praising somebody, it's praising a tzaddik. A tzaddik is so special that he was not metame, did not defile his friend's wife. Wow, what a tzaddik! So the Gemara says that can be. So what does it mean? It says he did not go into competition with his friend, business competition. Meaning, just like your business is your domain, your wife is your domain, your business is your domain. If I go into your business, I am taking away from your domain, right? Similarly, just like somebody who defiles somebody else's wife, he kind of put himself into where he doesn't belong. He put himself into his friend's inner domain. So going into somebody else's business, right, and taking away that person's clientele is similar to this concept of defiling his friend's wife. Right. So again, he's saying that so this is part of this justification. I'm not stealing, right? Right. Okay, but the 10 steps down the road happens to be that guy's losing money and I'm gaining money, but I'm not stealing. I didn't do anything. It's business. It's nothing personal, right? So he's saying no. It's a job of a Jew to realize how precious somebody else's money is, right? It's like his wife, and you got to make sure that you, God forbid, don't take away something that's not yours. Now over here, they bring a story here that I think is misplaced. So the story that they bring over here, so the lengths to which one must go to avoid any misconduct in these matters is illustrated in the following story, right? So they bring the story from Mesilas Yesharim, and the story goes like this: that he was traveling with another Rav, and they went to a small shul in Vilna to pray, and before there were sinks, before there were faucets, the shamash would put out some water for people to wash their hands before davening. Right, so one Rav said was very frum, so he wanted to wash his hand before davening in a very frum way. Comes Rabbi Feldstein, and he basically took like a tiny drop of water, and it's like, what do you mean? Don't you have to wash till more water the better, right? And Rabbi Feldstein said that this is a small shul; they're not used to guests, so maybe he puts out as much water as usually people take. So if we show up and we take up a lot of water, somebody else may not get water. If somebody else doesn't get water, they're going to say, and then maybe he's going to lose his tips or he's going to lose his salary. So I'd rather not be responsible for that man's loss. Okay? A beautiful story, but this is not, I don't think it belongs here. Why don't I think it belongs here? Because Nikius is not, this is a chumrah beyond chumrah beyond chumrah. It's beautiful that the Mesilas Yesharim was machmer on this beautiful thing, but the first Rav did not transgress any halacha. There was water put out for people who come to daven. He came to daven. He washed his hands. There was absolutely no mitzvah for him to not wash his hands. He does not have to think about it. What if this shamash only is used to putting out a certain amount, but that whole cheshbon that the B'Shroslan made is not in Nikiyas. Yes, it may be in Chassidus. We'll get to Chassidus, a person's to be machmir on himself. So then, yes, so then there is an inyan of being a good Jew and thinking through 10 steps ahead. But over here we're talking about Averis, we're talking about actual Isurim. He's not saying that this is some nice thing that you have to follow and be so super worshipful. He's saying, no, you have to think through that if you get money that doesn't belong to you, then that's a problem, even though it's 10 steps removed. It's your Avera. It's not some your nice thing. What Rabbi Shlomo did, a nice thing. There wasn't, wouldn't have, if he was to send, there wouldn't have been an Avera. That's first of all. Second of all, he wasn't misappropriating the Shamash's money. Right? It wasn't a Gazlan. It wasn't taking his parnasa away or anything from him away. So this is I think it's, meaning what bothers me by the story is that it's precisely what Ramchal is kind of not doing. He wants to put everything in its proper place at its proper time. And I don't know if I don't know. Again, maybe I'm wrong, but that's what I feel. Okay. Time? Let's just read one more. I don't know. Let's read just a little more. Ukvar hoya Rabbi Yehuda oiser lechenvani. Furthermore, Rabbi Yehuda would forbid to a chenvani, to a merchant, shelo yichalik kloyos ve'agoizim l'tinoikos, that he should not give free kloyos ve'agoizim, different nuts, right, and grain to children. Lehargil on sheyavoyu etzloi. So this way they will get the habit of coming to the store, right? So it's a machlokes really in the Gemara Bamitzia, in the Mishnah. Rabbi Yehuda says that you're not allowed to do this. You're not allowed to do this because again, you're stealing business from your competitors by you giving candy. Again, very not modern idea. Modern idea, what I mean, it's competition, it's marketing, it's great, right? You go to B&H. If you ever go to B&H, in every counter in B&H, there's candy on every counter. It's great. It's good business. You come in, you get candy. You get a sweet taste. You associate the sweet taste of the candy with doing business in the store. It's great. It's beautiful. Right. So Rabbi Yehuda says no. This is forbidden to do. And Ramchal says, and the only reason why Chachamim allowed it, because the competitor, well, nothing's preventing you from doing the same thing. So go ahead and also put out candy. Right? And I would say even more, you look at the Gemara's question is, my time at the Rabbanan. The Gemara wants to know, what's the reason for Rabbanan? The Gemara answers this, because he could put out something, shiski or whatever, something like that. So the Gemara never asked what's the reason for Rabbi Yehuda. Meaning, if you would present this Mishnah to a modern crowd, they would not be questioning Chachamim's, psak. They would be questioning Rabbi Yehuda's psak. What's the reason for Rabbi Yehuda? Why aren't you allowing this? Right? The Gemara is not questioning Rabbi Yehuda's psak. The Gemara is questioning Chachamim's psak. And
no, why not?
What?
He's not taking anybody's business. He's grooming potential customers. Right now, the children, they're not bad customers. So he's not taking somebody else's business. He's grooming his potential clients. So why not?
Right.
Not like he's like, buy one, go on free, like potential customer from this guy came free. It's all the children. They're not buying from anybody yet. It's like Microsoft. Free for teachers and students. No problem. Once he hooked up, no problem.
Right. Okay. So I'm saying, so that's Rabbi Yehuda says that you can do.
Yeah, why not?
Because he understanding, right? If it within the realm of loisasi gvul reyecha, right? Loisasi gvul reyecha means that you have your piece of the pie, I have my piece of the pie.
Yeah, but
so
those kids are not in the pie yet. They're not in the pie yet.
Okay, so I'm not sure where he gets this larry with the kids. If the kids means it's outside, or if the kids are going to bring the parents. I don't know about that. I think that part is you're right. Maybe if it's potential clients down the road, it would not be a problem. But I think it means with the kids coming down with the parents. That's a different story. Okay, Ben, it's a different story. But even then, so what's the big deal? And what's interesting to me, and again, maybe I'm wrong, but the Gemara answers that when the Gemara asks what's the reason for the Rabbanan, the Gemara answers that they could, just like he gives nuts, he can give shishki or something. And Rashi says, what is shishki? Prunes. Or prunes, which I translate as prunes. So, well, why does it do that? Why didn't the Gemara say he could also give nuts? Wasn't the Gemara's answer.
No, exactly what you're thinking.
No, so I think, if you think about it, meaning a lot of advertisement, right?
Yeah.
A lot of advertisement is really not to bring in new clients, but more to maintain balance with, what's the word? With your competitor. Meaning, in economics, there's something called Nash equilibrium, right? So Coke spends, $300 million on advertising. Again, I'm throwing down a number. Pepsi spends another $300 million. That's $300 million that they could have earned in profits, right? And at the same time, neither one of them can stop. If both of them would stop advertising, they would still sell the same amount of Coke and Pepsi. They would still split the market 50-50. But if only one of them stops advertisement, then the market will go 75-25. So neither one of them can stop advertising, because if anyone, right, unless both of them stop advertising. So my assumption is, again, I could be wrong over here, but if they both start giving out nuts, right? So it's just self-defeating. It's stupid. It's stupid. They're just both giving out nuts, but they're not accomplishing anything, because they're just the same competition. There's nothing differentiating them. But if this guy gives out nuts and this guy gives out, because meaning I'm assuming they're talking about chenveni. Chenveni is not a person just let's say two bakeries side by side. That's no problem. You don't need to give out nuts, because some people will like your bakery, and other people will like his bakery, and that's okay. So we have different markets, so to speak, within this market. We have different client groups, right? But chenveni, you're selling candles, and I have the same candles. We're all selling the same thing, right? Well, selling the same thing. So how do we differentiate? So I have a good idea. This is how I'm going to differentiate. I'm going to give out nuts. If this guy also gives out nuts, so then there's no differentiation. We're back to square one. There's no point. Oh, no, but this guy gives out prunes. Oh, this guy gives out prunes, so he's going to get his prunes customers. This guy's going to get his nuts customers. Okay, that's my hunch. I'm not sure if that's right. Anyway, so but we see from the sheet of Rabbi Yehuda again that competitive practices is not free for all. Competitive practices is not free for all. Okay. That a regular theft is worse than theft from the Beis Hamikdash. Because in both, when it talks again, Parshas in this Sefer Vayikra, when it talks about Osham, there's a Osham Gzelos, and there's Osham Me'ilos. Osham Gzelos is a carbon Osham that you pay for Gezel, and Osham Me'ilos is an Osham that you bring when you take something from the Beis Hamikdash. Okay, in both of these averos, the Torah used the word he misappropriate, like me'ila, even though gezel from regular people there's no me'ila, but it's still, the Torah calls it me'ila, right? So, but when it comes to regular gezel, the Torah says chet first and then me'ila. When it comes to stealing from the Beis Hamikdash, it says me'ila first and then gezel, right? So from here, the Gemara learns that because the chet is mentioned before the me'ila by regular gezel, so you see that this chet is stronger by regular gezel, even more so than the me'ila. Okay, I don't know enough about this, but I would have said differently. I would have said that the theft from public property is only because there's me'ila, meaning the me'ila, right, the misappropriation of hekdesh begins first, and then the chet of stealing starts. Mashenkin, by stealing is the other way around. First stealing, and then we realize there's a me'ila involved. You misappropriated another man's property. Okay, but anyways, I'm not sure. So that's in terms of business. right? That's in terms of business. Now the next part, again, I don't know if we should continue the next part. It's all continuation. It's called continue, but let's probably stop over here. The next part begins with workers, right? So till now he was talking about business dealings, right? Trading and business. So the next part is talking about workers for hire, that how careful they have to be in terms of being honest in their job accomplishment. Okay. All right. So that's that. Big takeaways. Big takeaways. Big takeaways. I don't know.
There's a lot to it.
To hear. There's a lot of good takeaways in this part, I think. Okay. Anyways.